make that hit in that situation?
I think it doesn't change if you're coaching DBs or you're coaching linebackers or D linemen, or, you know what I mean? Like, everyone tackles, everyone has to make a tackle, right? So we're always trying to advise them to keep their head out of it, to keep their eyes up, you know what I mean? And is it hard? Some of those plays are bang, bang. I think they're hard to officiate. I've been on the side of good ones. I've been on the side of not good ones. And so really, at the end of the day, football is a physical sport. And we need those defensive backs to tackle well, because they're the last line of defense, right? They got to tackle well. And so, that part of it, I think you're going to play with physicality, and we want to play with physicality, and however that works out, to the best of our ability for us to keep our helmet out of it and to not hit with the crown of our helmet, that is what we are coaching every single day. Sometimes those things happen real fast, and sometimes it results in a targeting penalty. At the end of the day, the targeting stuff is good because it makes the game safer for the players. So, it cuts both ways. We want our players protected. We also want them to play with physicality and violence, right? And so trying to coach them as much as we can to just keep their eyes up, keep their head out of it, is what we're trying to do.
Chris and Brian. 2 questions. First, kind of piggybacking off of Justin's question about just the passing game. The offense didn't look as kind of flashy or maybe dynamic as we saw through camp. And I know last week you mentioned kind of utilizing like a bar menu, right? Like just everybody's favorite things. Keep it simple. Was that kind of the driver of that on Saturday, or
No. Is that your whole question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
First question.
Yeah. First, there's another. Okay. Good. Okay. I think that's how you guys get them in. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, I don't know if they're going to make it back to me. I'm going to hit them with 2 right now. What I think it was the first game. I think there was fans in the stands. The band was playing. The cheerleaders were there. It was rocking and rolling in Arizona Stadium. You know what I mean? It's the first time they felt real pressure. It's the first time on 3rd down, if we didn't get the first down, we had to come off the field. Right? In practice, we're like, whistle, run it again. There's no run it again on game day. Right? So we have to dial up the level of execution if we want to be the offensive football we want to be. Offensive football team we want to be. And second question. Here we go.
It's been since late November since there was a win and kind of that vibe in the locker room. Just what that was like, sharing that moment with the team, getting one on the season opener, and especially with Polynesian Heritage Night, just how important that culture is to this locker room and team.
I said it after the game Saturday night with y'all. I thought it was a special night in Arizona Stadium. It was a great win for our team. It was a great win for our fans. I thought they did an excellent job, with the celebration of Pacific Islander Heritage Night. But anytime you're in a locker room post game after a win, it's magical. It's one of the most special places to be in the world. And just to share that moment with each other, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the hugs, the smiles, it's just a really special place to be. And I thought our players enjoyed it, and that's what we talked about, right? We're in 1 week seasons, right? And we get the result we want, we're going to celebrate it, and if we don't, we're going to go to work fixing it.
Brian and then Jason.
Just one question. Considering that you don't tackle in practice, and pretty much no one tackles in practice anymore for safety and all that, how do you feel that was on the defensive side, but also how the offensive players managed to break tackles or not go down with the first hit?
Well, there's 2 questions in there, just for clarity. I would say, I think there's a reason the National Football League doesn't tackle in practice, right? They never, ever tackle in practice, right? Because those players are super high value parts of their program. It's hard to replace a really good player, right? You're not getting Micah Parsons not coming off the waiver wire because you cut him, you know what I mean? Or whoever, right? And so I do believe that, especially now, college football is a little bit like that. High-value players, right? Hard to replace. We don't have a waiver wire. We don't have free agency, right? So we have what we have that's here, once you start training camp. So I think that is also encourage people to try and keep guys on their feet. Now, the flip side of that is that college football players are not NFL football players yet, right? And so the tackling, and I do believe, outside of hitting a baseball, tackling a person in space is the hardest thing to do in sport. You know what I mean? And so not getting the opportunity to do that live is you are taking a chance, but then you're also taking a chance when you have your best players in a live situation and they get taken out by collateral damage, like what happened to Gunner last year at Texas against Texas Tech, right? Like he's on the sideline, right? That was the pile getting blown into him, you know, like he was on his feet, you know, like that type of stuff. So that's, you know, I don't know the easiest answer for that. I think we do as much as we can trying to prepare them to tackle well. I think our defensive staff does a great job with that. And then your second question was about the ball carriers running with physicality. I think Coach Carter and Coach Moival do a great job of just demanding that, and that's our expectation. Is that, you know, we want to be in a situation where it's hard for one person to bring us down.
I'll continue the pattern of two questions. You mentioned before it wasn't the plan with Mizell. Chris Hunter played 5 snaps. Just to clarify, it wasn't. I mean, I know you don't want to give injury stuff away, but it wasn't a case where you said, you know what, look at the score and all that. We'll hold them out for precaution.
No way. I'm not doing that. If they can play and help us win, I don't care who we're playing. They're in the game. They're in the game.
And then the ability to have depth that maybe you didn't have last year, the fact that you were missing so many guys, and then players like Gavin Hunter stepped up, and other just.
Wasn't that awesome? Yeah. It was great. I thought Gavin played his tail off. You know, it's the most plays he's ever played in a game. You know, he had the interception, you know, and he had to respond, right? He got the holding penalty right before it, you know, and then he had to respond. I think there was just a lot of good moments like that for some of the players that haven't played as much. But I think that's what competition at all positions does. Like the more we can raise the level of talent in our program and raise the level of competition in the practice environment, the better off we're going to be. Because every day has that super high pressure, high intensity. Like you're trying to get everything as close as you can to game day, right? That's what you're trying to do. And the best way to create that without actually playing a game is peer pressure. Someone trying to take your job, you know?
Justin and Michael? What's one thing that you really liked about the offensive line, and what's one thing that maybe needs a little bit of work?
I liked how we ran the football. I thought we were physical in the run game, you know, with our front, like with the offensive line. I thought that was really exciting. What do we need to work on? I think people got to Noah too many times, and I think that's easy to see on the tape.
And then with Michael Sagata-Medina punting, seemed like there was a couple close calls where it almost was blocked.
Yep.
How much of that was just a get off, or how much of it was protection?
One was a protection, and then one was a not doing what you're supposed to do, which, you know, sometimes that happens. We're trying to eliminate those moments, you know what I mean? And so it was good because yesterday we got to see it on film. The players got to see it, and we got to coach them up, and I'm excited that we'll make some change. We'll make the adjustments necessary, and we'll get it right.
Michael and Damien.
2 questions, because, you know, that's what everyone else is doing, right? So you guys went for it on 4th down. You referenced it earlier. It was the 3rd quarter. Game was still kind of in the balance. Your side of the 50, what was the thought process?
I felt good about how we were running the football, and, you know, I think, you know, putting the ball, you know, in one of our backs' hands in that situation, or in Noah's hands, I feel good about it. You know, it's always a case-by-case, you know, situation. You know, sometimes you're in that spot, and you know, the player's like, go for it, and you're like, yeah, you know, but in the event we don't get it, we just gave them a 40-yard field, you know, which results in points a high percentage of the time for the opponent. So there's always that catch-22. You know, you saw a couple teams go for it late in the game. I think Ole Miss was one. No, not Ole Miss. Auburn. I went for it late in the game on 4th down to close it out, and maybe Georgia Tech. Was that the other one on Friday night? But, you know, like those calls took courage, you know, and then, you know, like if you execute them, everyone's like, yay, you know. If you don't, and that team goes down and kicks a game-winning field goal in 2 minutes, and you're like, why do we do that? Why didn't we take the points? So.
Were they supposed to kind of let the clock run down as much as possible to maybe make it seem like you were just trying to draw them offside?
That one?
That one, yeah. 'Cause I think the clock ran down pretty low.
Yeah. Yep.
So yes. And then after Gavin's pick in the end zone, came back out. I think there was 8:19 left in the game. You're up 34-6. Noah's still in the game at that point. Starting offensive line still in the game at that point. Is there just too much time left to go to the second teamers?
Yes.
Is there discussion about it
No,
at that stage? No.
no. We're still playing football. You know what I mean? And I think, first game, and you're trying to get everybody to settle in, and you're trying to give us a chance to maximize the rep in game, the live bullets that they get. And so there wasn't any thought at that time to swap any of that out.
You hadn't run that many plays either.
That was another part of it, right? Like especially the first half was really efficient, but it was not a high volume.
Damien and David.
Brent, you referenced the play of Julian leaping over the pile. I'm just curious, the moment he leaves his feet, do you remember what's going through your mind?
I was just excited that it was a sack. That was, or a TFL. Like it got stretched. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I don't like if you're asking me do I say, oh no, don't let it be a penalty? I don't say that. That's not what I don't think that way. I'm like, oh my God, look how hard our 280-pound defensive lineman's playing. That's what my head goes. You know what I mean? And that's what we're trying to get done, right? Because that ball's out on the perimeter, right? And he plays in the middle of the formation, right? So he's running at least 30 yards, 27 yards to get there. That's what we're talking about. That's red line. That's what we're trying to get those D linemen to do. Chase the ball like your life depends on it, because it does.
David and Chris for our last two.
Yeah, defensive tackles, Brent, really don't get a lot of love in these conferences here, but Tia Savea looked like he was commanding a lot of double teams, allowing other guys to get free. Just what were your thoughts on his play first game back?
We're excited. I think it was fun to see Tia, play, and I think he's just going to get better as time goes. You know what I mean? Because it's been a while since he's played that many meaningful snaps. When he wanted to come back to the University of Arizona, we were all really excited about it. He's great. He's a great kid, and he's also that big body that was part of our off-season recruiting challenge. We knew we needed to add some more big people to our football team, just because we're playing in a conference that is big, and so. He's been a great addition. I'm excited. I think he's going to just keep going, improving every single week. I think you're going to see more from him. And just for the record, we give an incredible amount of love to the defensive tackles here in Arizona football in this building. Those guys are important.
All right, guys, I'm sorry I lied to you. We'll go Chris, Justin, and then finish up with Coach.
On Saturday, you said you were really pleased with the effort that you saw from the team, but there were just some execution opportunities. After watching film yesterday, one thing that you guys are really going to go after this week on the offense, and the same for the defense.
Third down on offense. That there has to just be more consistency of play and execution on that. For the defense, I think the biggest thing for us was I think we lost the edge a couple times, and I think that's something that we can't do. Especially with a quarterback that can move a little bit, which this guy can from Weber, and so that's. That guy, you have to keep him contained. And once and you saw the guy the other night have some success once he got outside of us. So we got to fix that.
And you just kind of alluded to it, but I know it's early, but kind of preliminary scout of Weber State, what you guys are expecting on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we're just getting started on that, right? Defensively, they're a 4-down team and play a variation of coverage. Their defensive end is a really good player. He's their stud. Watching them on offense, I think, the quarterback got his first start last weekend. It was on the road against a really good team. He'll obviously be better this week for having had that experience. This team, physical run game, they're going to be very, very multiple and diverse in how they want to run the football, but they do try to stay balanced. And so I think, each team has one game on the other team. And so obviously in that first game, both of us are trying to figure out some things about the 2025 version of their team or our team. So we'll see what we get Saturday night. But I know this, we're going to attack the hell out of practice this week.
Justin?
Sorry to ask, but do you have an update on Tyler Powell?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We're still working through that.
And then Seth was coaching in the booth. What's that dynamic like, just having your play caller up there?
I think for most of my career, he's been up there on offense. So I think that's where I'm more comfortable, especially with the offensive play caller. But I've had both. I've had them both up and down. But the majority of my time, he's been up. And he was great. He was great. I think he feels like he sees it a lot better from up there, which I think most offensive coaches do. And the communication was very, very healthy with the assistant coaches on the sideline and on the staff, and with him, you know, conversation down from the box. So I thought it was positive.
Becky, we'll finish it up with you.
Coach, I think it's really exciting to hear that we're just work in progress and we're at the red line, because from the numbers, we dominated third down on defense.
Yeah.
And you talk about tackling. It's an intimidating thing when you run the tackle and you're by yourself, but you had 3, 4, 5 guys in the square to make the tackle that help create some turnovers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I see you preaching on the field, and to see that they've embraced the red line philosophy in every phase of the game, this thing's going to continue to percolate and build us to be something special.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we talked about it, a little bit in terms of, what it's going to take to build a consistent, sustainable winner here at Arizona. And I think us being an incredibly tough, high effort, connected football team is important. Like, I feel like we're going to have to be the best team. We're going to have to build the best teams we can possibly build, right? Coach told me, the team. Like, how do we do that? And I feel like we're 9 months into that with this 2025 team, and I do like where we're at, and I do think there were positive signs on Saturday night, and I think we can be better, Ricky. So yeah, we can be better. We can tackle better. We can play cleaner. So I'm excited about that. The one last thing I need to say before I go, because that was the last one, right? It was. Okay. I thought the Zona Zoo was amazing on Saturday night. I just, having been in college football stadiums for so long, I can't even remember, I really feel like the student section drives the energy of the stadium. The student section truly drives the energy of the stadium. And when the Zona Zoo is rocking, this place is really hard to play in. And I just thought they were awesome. And I'm optimistic that they'll show up this weekend and make things really difficult on our friends from Weber. But they were awesome. Just all that energy, just that young, youthful energy just reverberating through the stands, in the stadium. And what happens is when they do that, everyone else is like, well, shoot, I want in on that. All the other fans, just watch the noise level in the stadium change when the Zona Zoo gets rocking. And so I just want to say thank you, because they were awesome.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Bear down.